students of South Harmon. It's your boy, Matty Kiwoom. Welcome to the first episode of The Game Plan here on the South Harmon Fantasy Football Network. Please, first thing, most important thing, make sure you're subscribed to the South Harmon FF channel here on YouTube. Smash that like button and leave a little bit of comment for your boy. Today's episode, well, actually, before I get into today's episode, let me go ahead and introduce the show to the new crowd, to the South Harmon crew, all the fans of South Harmon. The Game Plan is a weekly show. It'll be coming out every single Sunday. We'll be live streaming at 9 a.m. I know it's early now. We're in the dog days of summer, but once the season kicks off, the Game Plan will be your place to come, get ready for your weekly matchup, and it will roll right into South Harmon starting and sit scheduling, all the stuff that's going to get you ready, get those lineups locked down, those rosters constructed to perfection as you head into your crucial matchups throughout the year. So you're going to have a lot of excellent Sunday morning broadcasts, quite frankly. The content's coming out hot when the season kicks off. But today's show is about training camp news, training camp breakdown, and then I'm going to run a quick 5-round and mock seasonal format. Let's start game plan. Let's start it for all the seasonal guys out there. Redraft, I know South Harmon is predominantly Dynasty. And it's the best Dynasty coverage you will find, bar none. But they brought in Kiwoom here to bring a little of that redraft, that seasonal stuff, because we want to make sure that everyone tuning in gets the nuggets to win their matchups, whether they're playing in Dynasty, whether they're playing in redraft, it doesn't matter. So the Game Plan, and me in particular, we'll be talking a lot of redraft from now until the end of time. But today, we're going to be going through 5 rounds to start game planning the first 5 rounds for your seasonal drafts, your redrafts, however you call it. I think right now I'm going to make the proclamation. I'm going to call them seasonal formats. It just sounds better. Redraft drafts, you're doubling up on the word draft. I don't like it, but we're going to call it seasonal. We're going to do a lot of seasonal content here. It's early morning. There's still a couple spots in the draft. I understand it's very early for some. 9 a.m. Eastern time is not the best time, but I'll put it in the chat. Here we go. There's a couple more spots. So if you want to join the mock draft that's going to be kicking off here in a few minutes, it's right in the comments. That's the link for that mock draft there. Well, everyone's out. Dynasty Barry, what up? Dynasty, my boy Harry Snowman. Good morning, everybody. Let's go. Yeah, that's right. At 9 a.m. is a little early. It's coming in hot. We're coming in hot this morning. But it looks like, all right, the draft is filled. That's very exciting. Morning, fellas. Nick, Take, Jake. What up? What up? What up? All right. So the format of the game plan is usually 2 halves. The first half, we'll be diving into different topics, different ideas. I'll be bringing you things that's going to get you better and get you more suited to dominate in your seasonal leagues. And then the second half is usually we'll bring in a mock, we'll bring in whatever, we'll bring in some trades. It's going to be a chance to see the lessons that we are talking about and the things that we're going through that, see it in practice, if you will. I think that's the best way to put it. So today we're talking training camp breakdown, and it's not so much what you're hearing or what's being said or the reports. This is really more of how to take that information and utilize that to crush your league mates. That's the idea here. We're not going over the details of which report, that report. I heard this, I heard that. I want to go over some of my rules to live by when it comes to cultivating and understanding the reports that are coming out from training camp, and how and why and when you should use that as you're developing your plans as you go into your seasonal drafts. Right off the bat, I'm going to go with my golden rule. I'm going to start hard. My golden rule when it comes to training camp news is understanding where the information is coming from. Okay, and this is the second part of the golden rule is do not rely on fantasy analysts' reports, and that includes myself. We in fantasy, we're trying to take the information and turn it into something useful. We're trying to utilize it for our fantasy purposes, and sometimes we'll get into the hype. A new show, the hype, you get kind of swindled by things. You get very excited. We're also very prone for confirmation bias, right? If we have an idea of a player and it gets confirmed via a report, we will retweet it and post it and get very excited about it. But The idea here is to find out where that information is coming from. You don't want to get it from us at Fantasy Guys. You want to get it from the beat writers, the people that are plugged into the team. 32 beat writers on Twitter, I'll give them a shout out. They do a great job kind of cultivating. So if you're looking for an X account, you could follow them because it gives you kind of the curation of all of the beat writers. But I would also suggest kind of going through. You see a report coming from Bears camp, click on that guy. It says he's a beat writer. He's been there for a while for the Chicago. Maybe you see him. He does an interview with a player. You go, okay, all right, that guy's plugged in. He understands the vibes. He understands the way things are going around an organization. They're not just seeing a clip or just watching a highlight and then boasting about it and saying, oh, yeah, this, and that. But I would highly recommend finding a few beat writers from certain teams. I think in our sport, or I should say in our game, in fantasy, we're obviously driven by offense. So I would highly recommend finding some beat writers for, say, the Eagles, the Cowboys, the Chiefs, the teams that are going to have the most fantasy relevant guys. Follow those types of beat writers. Find some of those guys. And what you could also do, and this is why you come to the gameplay to get some of my secrets. I have no secrets when it comes to y'all. What you could do is, if you have a sleeper in mind, follow the beat writer for that team. If you have someone that you just maybe like throughout the draft process, but you didn't get the draft capital, but you wanna follow him. You think this kid's gonna make the team. You think he's gonna make a difference. You think he's a sleeper in fantasy. Follow a beat writer. Follow a couple beat writers from that team, and then you can start getting these interviews. They're gonna ask these guys questions. They're gonna go ahead and they're gonna give you nuggets throughout a training camp, throughout the preseason, that you're gonna be able to use to smash your league mates, because the writing is on the wall sometimes. And these beat writers have jobs, and their jobs are to report what's going on around a certain team, a certain training camp, and let them do their job. Let them tell you what to do. Let them tell you who's doing well, who's not doing well. That's my golden rule: is don't get your team information from fantasy analysts. Get them from the guys, boots on the ground, the beat writers, the guys who interview the players, know everything that's going on. That's my golden rule. My next rule, the next thing when it comes to breaking down training camp news, is seek the information regarding usage. Usage is the most important when it comes to reports that we can utilize and use to our advantage in fantasy. Highlights are great. We love highlights, but don't just chase highlights, because it's still t-shirt and short season. Okay, these athletes are in the 1%. They are the best athletes on planet Earth. Of course, they're going to make one-handed catches when they don't have pads on. Of course, they're going to make sick plays over the middle when they're not worried about getting their head taken off by the other safety. These highlights can be tantalizing and they can hypnotize you, but they're not always best when it comes to kind of having that to use for fantasy. Highlights are great, but you don't get points for highlights in your fantasy seasons. But usage is key. Usage is how you kind of find out. Oh, for example, I'll put this out there. Oh, Dylan Lobby out there. He's a rookie drafted in the 6th round by the Las Vegas Raiders. There's reports coming out that he's being used with the first team offense for third down situations. Usage right off the bat. You're seeing that this guy might have a chance to crack the field early as a third down back, which, given his his skill set, what he does best, that's going to lead to. Oh man, people are just going in and out of the draft. That distracted me. You're live, Kiwoom. Don't get distracted. But I have ADD. I'm sorry, I can't handle it. But anyway, the usage. Now we know. Okay, back to it. Straighten up. 9 a.m. I also have to get the cobwebs off the field, folks. Once we find out that a guy who's great at potentially getting on the field early in pass catching roles, all of a sudden we're noticing, oh man, the Raiders aren't. They don't have a really good team. They're going to be in catch-up mode a lot. Well, Dylan Lowry might be on the field a lot. So those are the usage things that we're looking for. We're looking for when they're on the field. How do they get on the field? What packages are they in? 12 personnel. If you're into a Michael Mayer, and I know I'm sticking around the Raiders, but that's just that's just fresh on my mind, and that's fresh information that's coming out now that I'm using to help get some sleepers locked up, doing all that, the grinding to be good at fantasy. And the last thing I'll say here, it's gonna be quick. This show is not gonna be as long as it used to be. It's gonna be about a half hour, 45 minutes per episode, because we want to get the ball rolling as we get into the season. Like I said, this will lead us right into the starter sit, the lineup decisions, all that good stuff here at South Harmon, the YouTube channel. But the last thing I'm talking about when breaking down training camp news is, and this is me personally, this is how I go about it, and I recommend that you do too, to be quite frank. But coaches speak is coach speak is a real thing. Okay. It's a real thing, and you got to know which coaches kind of lie, which ones lean positively, negative, blah, blah, blah. But in my opinion, I would suggest at this time of year, take all positive coach speak with a grain of salt. Positive. This guy's doing great. This guy's killing it. Blah, 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 blah. Yep. Take it all with a grain of salt. Negative comments, however, are worth taking note of. Coaches aren't going to go out there and just start bad-mouthing a player unless they are really trying to drive home a particular point. Unless they're trying to motivate a young player to get his ass in gear, to get their shit together. Taking a negative approach to the media this time of year you're walking on very thin ice as a coach. You do not want to piss off the locker room. You do not want to piss off particular players. So if the coach is going to go out on that limb and they are going to put a player on blast, critique someone publicly, that means that's how it's going. That's the outlook on that player. And some examples here, the positive being Quentin Johnston. We saw a new head coach and new offensive coordinator of the Chargers, Harmon and Roman, talking about how he's, first-round talent. They like what they're seeing out there. He's developing as a player. But then when you watch their practice or follow some of their beat writers, you find out he ain't even on the field with the ones. Bad coach speak, positive coach speak. They're just going to talk up these guys to give them confidence, to boost their ego, to get them ready to play for the season. That's not what we want, because we can see with our eyes they're not good. We could see the reports that say they're not being used when they're supposed to be used when the season kicks off. But negative coach speak, like I said, negative coach speak can have some gravitas to it. Negative coach speak can have some weight that we should take seriously. And the example of this was Dennis Allen talking about Kendre Miller. He was asked by one of the reporters about Kendre Miller, and basically he said, "You ain't making the club if you in the tub." He said that that kid's got to work on getting healthy before anything. He needs to work on his health before, if he's even going to make the team. That's a red light. That's a glaring red flag. That's something that you have to put in your back pocket, and as you're game planning to dominate these seasonal drafts, you got to have that in your back pocket. Or if you're doing Dynasty and you're seeing now these offers coming for Kendre Miller, this is the report now that you're going to use to at least guide what your thoughts are regarding this player. So these negative comments, man, you got to take them seriously, because like I said, coaches will not just go out on a limb to talk shit about a player, to talk bad about one of their athletes, but positive speak, that could be taken with a grain of salt, because everyone's great. Everyone's this, everyone's that at this time of year. They're all 0-0. Everyone believes they're Super Bowl hopefuls. Everyone thinks that this is going to be their year. They're going to break out now. So don't ever get too excited about the positive reports coming from coaches. Now, positive reports from beat writers, that's a different thing. That's what we call drum beat here in the biz. I'm just kidding. We don't. Actually, a lot of people do. But that's what I call it, drum beat. When you hear it, just get louder and louder, louder. The reports, those can build. And positively, those you can listen, because they'll come with highlights, they'll come with interviews, they'll come with nuggets of information. But from the coaches themselves, don't care about the positive ones. But the negative ones, put those in your back pocket. So when you're watching training camp, try to look at it through this little bit of a critical lens here. That now that you've tuned into the game plan, you heard my kind of thoughts of it. If you're not doing it like this, if you have a way that you go about training camp news, leave it in the comments. Let me know. I'm always trying to learn. And what you guys here at South Harmon will come to know is that the game plan is really just kind of my secret weapon to talk to awesome people, to learn about awesome, to talk certain things about fantasy and just make myself the best fantasy player of all time. So it's my own little selfish endeavor. So if you got any thoughts, if you got any takes or how you go about listening and gaining information throughout the training camp, leave it in the comments. Let us know. But yeah, that's how I go about watching training camp news, looking for the beat writers, looking for information, seeking out things that I can take. I can put my fantasy tool belt and use that to absolutely crush my seasonal drafts. Now the next part of the show, we're gonna mock a little bit. We got a 12 team, 1 QB. This is what I'm calling it, the home league special. It's 12 teams. We're going to do 1 QB, PPR, no tight end premium, 6 point per passing touchdown. But I want to get the first 5 rounds in. I want to start game planning these first 5 rounds. And who knows? It's 9 a.m. We may have a bunch of autos going on. It's fine. It's fine. I'm going to talk through it, and I'm going to give whatever. We're going to talk through it. If you have any comments, leave them in here. We'll get this party started. But I'm going to go ahead. I said 9:15. It's 9:16. Let's get it popping. Let's get the draft going. All right. Here, got to hit that button. Let's go. All right. So now we're on the clock. Big Corey's on the clock. See, I don't know. 9 a.m. I get it. But we're trying to set what do you call it? We're trying to get it locked down for the season. I still can't even think of the word I'm trying to think of. We're trying to solidify the spot. Oh, my bad. I get it. Fizzle's, super flex guy. Yeah, only I could get you to do 1 QB. Well, all right, that's what I like to see. But this is the home league special. Okay, this is what we're all going to be. If you're in an office league, if you're in a family league, or your buddies from college, or your high school buddies, all that good stuff, this is the type of draft you're in, and this is the type of draft that we're talking about today. Real quick, but coming off the 101, looks like there'll be an auto, probably going to be CMC. Big Corey, I will see you, Corey, in a couple days when we get to Canton. So, listen, you'll hear from me then, Corey. CeeDee Lamb off the board. Okay, now Fizz must be quite. He must be pretty devastated not being able to get a CeeDee Lamb. But Christian McCaffrey. See, Christian McCaffrey to me is still the 101. So getting him at the 102, good value there. Christian McCaffrey has been a destroyer. When you look at the warp charts, the wins over replacement over at South Harmon FF, you can't help but see how high Christian McCaffrey continues to finish, and he's just one of those athletes that's going to age well given his skill set. So getting him at the 102 makes sense. I was doing my last solo vid came out, was combing through some of the underdog ADP to try to come out with some takeaways of for redraft purposes, and I like a lot of value in the second round for receiver or for running backs. So I've really kind of wanted to be more aggressive with the wide receiver position in the first round, but you can't pass up CMC. You just can't. You can't pass up CMC. Well, apparently this is going to have a bunch of autos. So if we have a bunch of autos, then eventually this is going to be a very quick draft. But so far off the board, Lamb, McCaffrey, Chase, really nothing crazy there. But this does bring up a bit of a kerfuffle, if you will. Justin Jefferson is no longer consensus top 3 pick. I think with the draft playing out as it is right now, these top 3 guys, I am totally okay going with Chase, McCaffrey, or CeeDee Lamb above Justin Jefferson. I love Jefferson. Watching him in receiver, you realize he's just a dog. But with the rookie quarterback or Sam Darnold, is it a guarantee that he gets the 150, 160 targets that CeeDee Lamb is going to get? Is it a guarantee that he's going to be one of those destroyers in terms of wins over replacement like he's been in the past? I don't know. But he's now fallen to me at the 105, 106. So I picked the 106 first because I was trying to stay away from the McCaffrey decision. I was chicken. You can call me chicken shit. It's fine. Don't care. Harry Snowman's in chat said he is buying into Justin Jefferson this year, and I am too. I'm going to take him here over Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill falling to the 108, 107, 108 is great value, but Jefferson at the 6 to me is I like that value. He's so talented. Now, he may not get the 160 targets like Lamb. He might not have the destroyer upside like a Jamar Chase this year, but He's still Justin Jefferson. I mean, Justin Jefferson last year, he's just been so good throughout his entire career. He's been destroying every single season. And last year, you look at the warp charts, he did take a dip. It's a bit of a fall from grace, if you will, compared to seasons prior. But it's dealing with injury, and that is something that, of course, you have to be concerned about. But it wasn't anything lingering, and he was able to come back. It was that crazy hit where he was spitting up blood. Again, if you watch receiver, you remember all this crap. You know all this stuff. But Jefferson going off the board for me is my first pick. I'm very happy with that. And now we'll see what goes. Tyreek Hill goes auto. Seth Dewald. Listen, Seth D, you're gonna hear from me. You got Nick, Seth D. You guys are gonna hear from me. You can't be coming in my first stream on South Harmon and just auto. The hell wrong with you? Damn. But anyway, Justin Jefferson to put a cap on it. He's one of those rare talents that can achieve that the 2.0, 2.1 warp and be a 2-win over replacement guy. And that's just those type of players are rare. Those are the type of players that you want to make sure that you have on your squad. And now we've seen. Okay, so this is interesting. This is interesting to me, seeing 4 running backs go off the board. Now, in the seasonal drafts, you will see a lot more of that. You'll see a lot more of the running backs coming off early. But seeing Gibbs go, I want to hear in the chat. Let me know. Do you like Jonathan Taylor or Jahmyr Gibbs in 2024? Because I'm starting to like Gibbs a little bit more with that pass catching upside. So I'm leaning Jahmyr Gibbs for sure over Jonathan Taylor, and Jonathan Taylor falls. Puka Nacua and Saquon Barkley. That's pretty good. That's a good start there. There is something to getting the turn, the 1-2 turn. There's something about it. It is you can get some back-to-back talent there. Yes, it is 1 QB. Yep. 1 QB this year. Yeah, I mean, this would be a pretty wild strategy from the boys if we were doing Superflex and there was not a single quarterback selected. 0 red on this draft board would be absolutely banana land if it was Superflex. But no, it's a 1 QB. Just doing the first 5 rounds. We'll go through it here. Again, a lot of running backs coming off the board in the back half of round 1, early round 2, which makes sense. Okay, here we go. So to recap, Lamb, CD Lamb, CMC, Jamar Chase, Amon-Ra goes above Justin Jefferson, Bijan Robinson, Justin Jefferson, Tyreek Hill, Breece Hall, Jahmyr Gibbs. That's a good pick there. That's a ballsy pick. That's a ballsy pick. Yeah, it's 1 super. That's just for the draft board purposes anyway. Gibbs, Garrett Wilson, AJ Brown, Puka Nacua, Saquon Barkley, Jonathan Taylor, Devontae Adams, Travis Etienne, Marvin Harrison, Kyron Williams, and it's to me for my 2nd round pick. And I'm gonna make this pick, and it's gonna make Koopa and Eric a little mad here, because if you look at the warp charts, if you look at the wins over replacement at South Harmon FF, you know that tight ends don't particularly matter. They're not super valuable. But there is one above the rest, Travis Kelce. And I'm going to go ahead and take him here in the 2nd round. I'm going to get the difference maker. Last year, really, him and TJ Hawkinson were the only guys above a 1.2 warp. Kelce was 1.30, and Hawkinson was 1.32. They were the only guys. I mean, that we're talking top 12 running back, top 15, top 16 receiver. They're the only 2, and with Hawkinson being hurt to start the year, I'm going Travis Kelce here. Now, an Undertaker goes Laporta because I'm assuming by the logo, he's got to get himself a Detroit Lion on the squad. But 2 tight ends in round 2. That I think we're going to see a lot of Laporta. I am fading Laporta in round 2. Not that I don't like the talent. I believe he's very talented. I just don't know if the 10 touchdowns are repeatable. And I am buying in a little bit into the Jameson Williams hype. But I like Laporta if he falls to me. In rounds 3, probably maybe round 4 even. It'd have to be a significant slide. But for me, when I look at the warp charts, Kelce's still a difference maker. And now this year, being that the Chiefs went ahead and brought in not 1 speed demon, but 2 speed demons, defenses are going to have to they're going to have to prepare in a way that it's going to be very advantageous for Kelce over the middle parts of the field. But then we see Hurricane Nick auto drafting Josh Allen in round 2. You know what, though? He reached out to me. That's my boy, Nick. And he reached out to me yesterday about this. And then the fact that he didn't show up, it's a little disappointing, Nick. You're going to hear from me on this. You're going to get a scolding from your boy here because that's just unacceptable. Absolutely unacceptable. I will say this, though. The Portuguese feast is going on in my neck of the woods here in Massachusetts. And it's a time where lots of drinks are had. Something called Madeira wine is had by all, and Madeira wine it's the devil's poison. And in my younger days, I would have been at the feast all 4 days, but I'm old, man. I don't do that type of stuff. I don't party like that anymore. But I'm saving my liver. I'm saving my body for Canton, for the expo, for the shit school. So shout out to anyone here who's going to be going there at the heading out to Canton next week for the Fantasy Expo. Say what's up. Reach out. Say what's up. Okay, round 3 is now kicked off. Jalen Waddle, Chris Olave, Mike Evans. Before we get into the round 3 talk, 2, 4, 6 running backs, 2 tight ends, and a quarterback going round 2. This is bananas. This is about woo. Yeah. Yeah, that's right, Dustin. There are people here on Sunday mornings, and like I said, we're gonna this show's gonna develop its own identity here at South Harmon. It was great at Play Pro, and I love doing it there, but having it here at South Harmon feels fantastic, and it'll continue to develop. It'll continue to kind of become what it becomes here on Sundays as we get into the season, and it's going to kick off our football coverage here at South Harmon. But anyway, back to it. 6 running backs taken. Only one, by the way, of auto. So 5, 6 running backs taken. That is why this is a great depiction of why I do like going receiver in round 1, because the running backs in round 2 are fantastic. I love the running backs that you can get in round 2. And I like going hero RB. So I like to take a running back somewhere in the first 3 rounds, and then I'm punting until round 9. We won't get there today's mock, but that's kind of where I believe we're going to be able to construct the best seasonal teams is by following that approach. And I'm going to take a running back next. I don't care if I'm table talking because there's 2 guys out there. I'm taking one. So go ahead, Undertaker. You can take the other. It doesn't matter. He doesn't. He leaves me my guy. And now I'm buying it. I mean, I'm just double tapping Chiefs love. I'm absolutely just cashing in on an offense that's going to be an absolute top of the league this year, absolute wrecking crew. And Isaiah Pacheco in particular. Isaiah Pacheco, we might look back on this 3rd round, on this 4th round, wherever he goes in your draft, and you might be saying to yourself, Isaiah Pacheco was the MVP pick because we've seen him get the 200 carries. We've seen him being used in goal-to-go situations, but now we're hearing and we're seeing, like we talked about earlier in the show, what you see, what you hear, how do you use that? Isaiah Pacheco is being called an every down back, which is great. It's coming from the coaches, so you kind of take it with a grain of salt, like we said. But then you see it. There's no one out there. They didn't bring back Jerick McKinnon. They haven't brought back your quintessential satellite back for 3rd downs. They are giving him the opportunity to be a 3-down back for the Kansas City Chiefs. And Isaiah Pacheco, he's going to have touchdown upside, but now he's going to have some receiving upside. And now we're going to see a chance for Pacheco, as long as he can stay healthy, to truly come up the boards. Last year was a 1.2 wins over replacement running back. He was running back 15. This year, I think we can see that number creep up closer to the 1.5s. Put him in that top 6 or 7 running backs for fantasy this year. Last year, Travis Etienne was a 1.5 guy. Rachaad White was a 1.5 guy. And what we know about those type of receivers is they are dynamic in the passing game as well. And if Isaiah Pacheco gets that workload, gets that 3rd down back, becomes a pass-catching running back for the Chiefs, holy cannoli, he is an absolute beast in the 3rd round. Malik Neighbors comes off the board at the end of the 3rd. Love it. I'm okay taking Neighbors in the 2nd. I don't care. If I have the 101 and I go McCaffrey and I'm deciding between Ayuk, these end of the the 3rd round receivers we're seeing here on the board, or Neighbors, I'm taking Neighbors. I think Neighbors is a lock, a mortal lock for 130 targets, 140 targets, and a guy that talented getting that many targets. he's just absolutely going to smash in fantasy. He's got all of the potential to, eclipse 1,000 yards, hover around 10 touchdowns. He's going to be the guy in this offense. And I know Daniel Jones doesn't get you excited. Drew Lock definitely doesn't get you excited, but we see bad quarterbacks make really talented receivers, and they don't tank their value whatsoever. So I'm absolutely all about Malik Neighbors in the end of the third. Fantastic way to do it. That's how you. And now we're seeing the quarterbacks go. I think this I'm bringing my next book, but first, Dynasty Barry in the chat. Imagine the gravity of the situation being in pass protection duties as a running back for Mahomes. It's a role they take seriously, and Reed speaks glowingly on Pacheco. Yeah, I know. And I know I said you take it with a grain of salt, but the actions are backing up the words. So maybe that's the caveat. Dude gets cucked on Mahomes. Wow. Well, on an auto, too. Would you believe that? Would you fucking believe that? Son of a bitch. Anyway, I'm up on the board here. And what I'm noticing based on this draft is that the Kelsey pick, I probably could have waited and not had to go Kelsey in the second, because I do like Andrews if I'm going to go tight end early. But anyway, no. Stick to your game plan. It's fine here. And I'm going to go ahead and double tap the wide receiver position. I just want to double check. Yeah. I'm going to go. Oh, I got timed out, but guess what? Oh, all right, that's fine, because I was going to take him anyway. So Cooper Kupp. And this is, I got two thoughts here that I want to bring up, because we're going to be approaching the end of the fourth momentarily. First, sex appeal doesn't win fantasy leagues. That's going to be the theme of the seasonal draft approach for your boy. Sexiness doesn't win leagues. Old players are nasty in seasonal. Mike Evans hasn't been the sexy pick for 3 years, and he's just continuously been dominant. Last year, especially, you're looking at a receiver that was a difference maker. 6th highest WARP in all of football last year. 1.63 wins over replacement type of player, and he was claimed dead a couple years ago. You don't need to have a sexy roster. You can have older players like Mike Evans or Cooper Kupp. You can have these guys, and they're going to smash. They're absolutely going to smash. Been working on Dynasty for months, and the whiplash into redraft mocks is crazy. Yes, it is. But we're here now. Redraft season is just around the corner. Seasonal, the true seasonal draft weekends are going to be coming up in a few weeks. So I'm trying to get all the game planners that are tuning in to be able to just kick the living shit out of all their league mates. The seasonal leagues aren't the most fun all the time. The seasonal leagues are dominated by, like I said, the work leagues, the family leagues, but those are the leagues you don't want to lose. Okay, if I lose in a league that's full of killers, like the people mocking here today, Fizz and Mike and Adam and Cody and Seth and Koopa and Eric, if I lose to those guys, wow, whatever. I mean, I lose those guys. They're great players. They're smart minds. But if I lose to my cousin Greg, no, I'm not fucking losing to you, Greg. If I lose to Diane from accounting, fuck no, I'm not losing to Diane from accounting. These are the leagues you got to zone in, you got to dial in, and make sure that you come out victorious. And the next thing I want to bring up, other than the sex appeal comment, was quarterbacks this year. From the research I've done, and from looking at a lot of like the underdog ADP, looking at just ADP on Fantasy Life or wherever, what I'm seeing is quarterbacks coming at fair value. Josh Allen went in the second, but that was an auto. I don't see him going in the second often. I really think, I believe truly that we'll see the first quarterbacks taken in the end of round 3 and then throughout round 4. And if you can get your first 3 picks dialed in, it's not terrible. It's yeah, she's back-to-back champ. That's why I got to take her ass out this year. So that's just for me. I think quarterbacks are coming at a value, but I still think I'm waiting because I just love Jaden Daniels later. Kyler Murray's going later. Anthony Richardson is someone that slips in the more cash leagues, but he went in the 4th here because we got some sharp drafters. All right, I'm going to get timed out for the second time in a row, but I'm going big. And this is actually a decision pick for me. This is definitely a talking point pick for me. I'm going George Pickens over Tank Dell. Give me the guy who's looking like the only show in town now that Roman Wilson's dealing with a high ankle injury. George Pickens is poised to have volume. And again, don't be afraid of the Arthur Smith constructed offense. Arthur Smith, as the offensive coordinator in Tennessee, got the best seasons out of Ryan Tannehill of his career, got 1,000 back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons, big-time producing seasons from A.J. Brown. And now, out of Steelers camp, are we seeing Justin Fields seize the opportunity? Are we seeing Justin Fields take over that quarterback room? Jeez. He's ready to absolutely smash. So that's it. That's the first 5 rounds. And some of the takeaways that I've gotten here, and I'm excluding the auto scumbags, but I'm just kidding, Nick and Seth. I love you guys. Still, auto on my first show in South Harmon. Way to embarrass me in front of my friends. Anyway, takeaways. Quarterbacks, they're okay to take in the top 5 rounds. I think you could build a nice little core around that. Like, look at Harry Snowman's team. 3 good receivers, high warp type players. He's got his RB1, and then Kyler Murray, getting him in the 5th round. Now, Kyler, I think Rob would actually back me up on this, that if we were going 10 rounds, he probably would have tried to wait a round or two to go ahead and take Kyler. But yeah, you could take him in the 5th and not be burned. But again, the hero RB build, we're looking at certain teams here. I don't like double tapping running back. A couple of them did, but when you can go McCaffrey and Derrick Henry, Fizz, I'm not. He's in the Fizz saying Henry in the 2nd was a wild pick, but he wanted to get wild. Well, hey, you're gonna get wild here on a Sunday morning. How dare you? But then you go look, and the 3 receivers have upside. That you got to go super upside if you double tap running back to start. But I just want to say thank you to everyone that was in the mock, and that's it. That's the first show here on South Harmon. I did see a comment that I need to bring up. Adam Baker, I love Matty, I love South Harmon, but seeing you lead player profile reminds me when Hogan went to WC turn heel. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's a heel, but I do like the idea of South Harmon being the Wolfpack. Woo! You know, I love it. And for everyone that tuned in to SummerSlam last night, keep your mouth shut. I recorded it. I wasn't around last night, so I have to go watch upstairs. I've watched the first match this morning. Rhea Ripley getting dumped by Dirty Dom. Oh, my God. SummerSlam started off pretty crazy. Yeah, there it is. He would have waited. Yeah, exactly. That was a Kyler Murray comment, but for sure. Matt B, thank you. Shout out. Thank you for being here. Everybody, Dynasty Barry, Fizzle, Rubio, everyone that was in here. Matt B again, Dustin, Adam. You guys are awesome. The move to South Harmon was not one because anything about player profile. Player profile was fucking awesome, obviously. But South Harmon feels like home. It feels like I came home to be with this community and these sickos that are hanging out with your boy at 9 a.m. on a Sunday when football's still weeks away. So you guys are the best. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure you are subscribed to the South Harmon FF YouTube channel. Like this video. Let's get those likes up. Let's get the algo to love this stream. Leave a comment. What do you look for out of training camp reports to help you dominate in fantasy? What are the type of things that you, what are you looking for when looking over training camp? Leave that in the comments. I'm Matty Kiwoom. Keep game planning, my friends. I'll see you next Sunday. Peace. Hi.